If you're a true hip hop fan, a true hip hop head, you remember this. I got a girl named Sally. She don't squawk or eat pork with a spoon or fork. Yeah, one of the first ever hip hop bands, Brooklyn Stetsasonic, used beatboxing, sampling, and live performances to elevate the musicality of the genre in the 1980s. Originally known as the Stetson Brothers, there were three members, including the founder himself, Daddy-O, Delite, and Wise, the human mix machine. Soon the group evolved to Stetsasonic, adding the prolific energy of devastating beat creator Bobby Simmons, Prince Paul, and Fruitkwan, with the sound that brought R&B and jazz and dancehall and rock to hip hop, still shaping itself. They would pave the way for the hip hop bands like The Roots. Boy, we got a treat for you today. But first, before we get to Daddy-O of Stetsasonic, let's bring on the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Dr. Chavis, how's it going?
Greetings, Stacey Brown, on behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Karen Carter Richards, our distinguished chair of the NNPA and publisher of the Forward Times newspaper in Houston, Texas, and the 230 African-American owned media companies, newspapers across the country. We're so excited to be with Daddy-O of the famous Stetsasonic, some of the pioneers of hip hop. And I from North Carolina, Stacey. I was brought up in the South, but I cut my teeth in Harlem and in Brooklyn, in New York City, walking the streets. And we'll talk about it when Daddy-O gets on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's bring on the legendary Daddy-O from Stetsasonic. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be, Daddy-O.
Peace. Good morning. It's a great morning.
Yes, it is. So good to see you, good brother. I'm glad to see you still strong.
Brother. Good to see you, brother. We hanging in there, man. We gotta do what we gotta do, right?
Absolutely, man. I remember you, man. Back from the early, from the 1960s, 1970s, and the 1980s, and people, talk about hip hop's birth in the 1980s, but there was a lot going on before people even knew what the term hip hop meant. On the streets of Brooklyn, on the streets of Harlem, the streets of Bronx, in Queens. I mean, it was across the city, man. And I remember walking the streets with you and Ilambe Braff and G2 Wawusi, Big Black, and Sonny Carson.
And Sonny Carson, yes, sir.
Hey, so Daddy-O, you got longevity. What Dr. King said, longevity has its place, but you guys have been around, like you and Dr. Chavis just said, you've been around a while, you've seen a lot. But before we get into all that, what is Stetsasonic up to now? I know recently it's been 40 years, an anniversary. What you guys have been up to?
So we've been back in the studio. So around 2016, I like to say, I use the terminology, I picked up the mic again, kind of like a boxer that picks up his gloves again. So I started putting out these independent records. Took me a while to figure it out, but around 18, I actually started working. Spotify started popping, people started buying the records. So I've been trying to convince the guys that there's a way that classic hip hop could sound, and that we definitely should not think about going away. Somebody put ageism on hip hop. I don't know who did that, but we got our guesses. But somebody put ageism on hip hop, and I just don't think that is right. So got the guys back in the studio. We got a new single out that's doing well, and we're working on the album. Actually, we had a conference call last night that was incredibly progressive about the album and moving forth. So we still making those records. So funny. The major conversation last night was about a record called Message in Our Music, which we are reusing the Gamble and Huff Message in Our Music that they did with the OJs.
Yep.
And it's a good song, man. But I told the guys, I said, none of us delivered. That's just a demo. We got to go back and do it, because what we're saying is really powerful. But we got to get those vocals right.
And you talk about a new record, new album. Is everybody together on this? I mean, are we seeing the whole group? Oftentimes it's hard to get everybody to reunite.
We lost a few members along the way. I like to look at us. The closer relationship is the relationship we have with the Force MDs. And so the Force MDs are that way, although they lost members in ways that we don't like to, some of them to actually physical death. But then, you know, there's always those legacies like the Four Tops and the Temptations. So we think that the name Stetsasonic reigns supreme. You know, some of the other guys, just two of them, went on to do some of that, you know, some other efforts and stuff. We, you know, we want to stay the course and do exactly what we did. So actually in the new video, we showed the we have one of those t-shirts with the names on it, and all five of us are there. So now it's myself, Delite, and Wise, of course, the original, Bobby Simmons, who's our drummer and our MD, and the devastating Prince Paul.
Absolutely. And what was it like when you got the guy? You said you and back in 16 you decided to pick the mic back up again. But what was that feeling like when the guys got together, whether it be a conference call or Zoom? Or what was that feeling like?
It was physical. It was physical. So we always do shows. We've always done shows. I actually had to have somebody go inside. A lot of people don't know that Wikipedia is a public platform. They think Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. They're wrong. Wikipedia could be edited by anybody. So somebody had up on our Wikipedia page that we broke up and all of this. So I had to get somebody to go back in and redo all that, because we've always been getting together for shows, what they mostly call them old school shows, where, you know, us, Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy, a few of us will come together and do these concerts. So we've been getting together yearly, you know, for a few of these shows, but just never making any new material. Getting back and making new material, it was interesting, because in the beginning the guys were a smidgen hesitant, but then once they kind of figured out what I was talking about, they're full in. So I'm excited about it. Like I say about us, meaning my genre of music, and that little cluster that we come from, those, you know.
We lost your volume there, Daddy-O.
Yeah, because somebody tried to call me. What I've learned about that group, that late 70s, early 80s group, is that we still have a lot on our mind and we still have a lot to say. And so once the guys kind of bought into that, you know, it's exciting now, because you got to think about it. Nobody could say what we say. They haven't lived the life that we live. So the young rappers, let them do what they do. They talking about their lives, right? We have lives as well. And I think that our expression is important. I always said this, we talk on records, right? So I never really, I called it hip hop because they called it hip hop. What that means is the guys in the Bronx call it hip hop, so I adopted to it. But we just always thought we was an extension of the black music that came before us.
Yeah.
You know, I can't sing like Patty. I can't play a drum like Tito Puente. I can't do any of those things, but I rap. So that was my contribution to it. So it's really the feeling of the continuation of black music. I mean, that's the honest to God truth. That's what that feeling is.
Yeah, and Dr. Chavis, I know you know a little bit about hip hop.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I come out of the civil rights movement, and I saw that continuity that Daddy-O was talking about. And Daddy-O, you know, we represent the black press all across America. In those early days of hip hop, you know, you had the New York Daily Challenge.
Yes.
You had the it was called Big Red back then, and now it's called the New York Beacon, the Amsterdam News, the New York Carib News. I mean, our music, you know, can you just comment, because particularly for our listening audience, that the beats, the music, the song, the dance, the art, some people call it graffiti, but the art, all had a message about fighting for freedom, justice, and equality. In verse, you know, and our struggle today continues. When you talk about Black Lives Matter, it just didn't start mattering after George Floyd. Black Lives Matter. It has been mattering for 194 years since the black press first got started in New York in 1827. You can just plot out the course of our travail with the black church, the black press, the black music. It was all really fused together, and it created such creativity. And I just want to thank you, Daddy-O, for all of what you
Oh, thank you, brother.
contributed to the uplift of our people, man.
Well, you know, it's you know, one of the things I say, and I think this reigns true even for this country right now. I say to a lot of my friends, I said, you want to know the problem? And they said, what's the problem? I said, okay, let's talk about hip hop first. No elders. That's the problem. I said, you know, you guys like to point the finger at the young people, and I understand what you're doing. I just don't agree with it, because where was we? You know, where are we? Where is Daddy-O? Where is Melly Mel? Where's Grandmaster Cass? Where's Chuck D? Where are all these guys when these young guys are like Juice WRLD are on a plane with a bunch of his homeboys? The feds are coming on the plane, and he takes all the pills and dies.
Wow.
You know, where were the elders? So we have a point to play, and that's one of the things about this new Stetsasonic project. I'm going out on a limb and saying classic hip hop artists are not doing enough. We are absent. It's a weird kind of feeling, right? You know, you think about industry, but hip hop is music. But the way they look at us is like, if Drake is rich, then Chuck D must be uber rich. See how that worked? That's so stupid, but it's exactly the way they think. If Kanye is rich, then oh man, Daddy-O must have a house with a hill and a big old fence around it, you know, and it kind of put us out the pasture. But the real truth is we put ourselves out the pasture. And I keep telling my peers, these young people ain't gonna respect you if you're not rhyming. I'm not saying speaking is not important. I do speaking gigs. I'm not saying preaching's not important. I do preaching gigs. I'm not saying that that's not important. But what I'm saying is that they know you for the music. Let's be honest. They don't know you as a steel worker. They don't know you as a truck driver. They know you as a rapper. Rap, okay? And show that you could have what I call the Miles Davis factor, meaning you're gonna do something different. You've been around for a long time, but you're gonna continue to keep pushing the musical envelope. And that's the thing that I campaign about, because that's when all the things that Dr. Ben was talking about in terms of bringing this together, we can begin to understand it as a community. You see a guy my age around a J. Cole or a Drake or a Young Dolph, then you start seeing a family, because that's the young guy, that's the older guy. When you're only seeing one group of people, you don't know if it's a family or a gang. So I think that we have a responsibility. When I say we, like I said, they're not even happy half the time they hear me talking. Us, classic hip hop, myself, Daddy-O, Big Daddy Kane, Chuck D, MC Shan, we gotta jump back in the field, do what we do, but these young kids need some guidance.
And Daddy-O, and I hear what you're saying. Are the young ones, the younger generation of hip hop stars or rappers, or however people want to term them, are they receptive though to the elders, to you, to Chuck and Melly Mel? Are you finding them to be receptive when you talk to them?
Okay, this is what I believe. All right, and I'm glad Dr. Ben is on this. I didn't have a choice to respect Dr. Ben or not. It was his swag that made me respect him. And that's a political pro-black swag. He wasn't coming there as no drug dealer. He never met me as no hustler. But when I look at him, I'm like, okay, that's the OG. I gotta respect him. And so now he's giving me advice. Now Alambe is giving me advice. You know, now Sonny Carson. As a matter of fact, I made a record on the In Full Gear album, which is our second album. It's actually a solo effort. You'll just hear me and the conga, called Freedom or Death. I did that for Sonny.
Yes.
I said, Daddy, I need a record called Freedom or Death. I did the whole record called Freedom or Death. I did that for Sonny. He didn't ask me twice. So yes, the issue, I think, is the way we present ourselves to end up being respected by these young people. You know, that's what I think is the issue.
That's
Because
right.
like I said, Dr. Ben, I had to respect Dr. Ben. I could show you pictures with me and Dr. Ben. I had to respect Dr. Ben. It was the swag. You understand? It was what was coming off him. I ain't come here to play young blood. Don't be looking at me like that. You understand what I'm trying to say? I feel like we cannot put, and that's just me, bro. This is just me. Don't put this on nobody else. I feel like we can't put that on them. We gotta be, like I said, it's two types of old men in the hood. I come from East New York, Brownsville. Two types of old men in the hood. One is an old man that you kick around, you send him in the store to buy beer and cigarettes for you or whatever. Got no props. He taking $1. There's another old man that when he walked by, all of y'all stop talking because y'all know that old man can make the block go away. That's who we need to be. Yeah. We have to respect ourselves and step up. Me and my wife talk about it all the time. We gotta grow up. Sometimes these guys, no disrespect, man, can't be 59, 60 years old, man, out here with a baseball cap on it and letters across your face. I tell people all the time, say, man, do you guys know what the best dress protest was? What's best dress protest? Yeah, do you know that every time Dr. King and them went out there, they knew they was gonna get hit by hoses and dogs, and they dressed to the nines. Yeah. They had no big t-shirts on and all looking good. That's black excellence. That's what Dr. Ben and them do when they work in these newspapers all the way through. They trying to step it up. Yeah, some people are gonna be kids and wear t-shirts. Come on, man, you're 60 years old. Right. Knock it off.
Well, Dr. Chavis is. I gotta
well, that's why what Daddy is saying is so invaluable to the black press, to black music, and to Black American, to people of African descent. We have a glorious history, a glorious legacy, and what Daddy was saying, respect is a two-way street. In order to get respect, you got to give respect. You got to represent respect, no matter what age you are. And I think that our struggle for freedom, justice, and equality is intergenerational. Every brother, every sister, no matter what your age, has a role to play. And that's what we learned on the streets of East New York back in the day. It was a kind of a unity. It didn't mean we all sometimes weren't in the same set, but when we got together, there was a vibration, there was a unity, and there was a movement forward that uplifted the masses of our people. We don't even talk about the masses now. That word is kind of not even now vernacular, except in the black press. But when we speak, when we rap, or when we articulate, or when we dance, or when we paint a brush and put some art out there on a subway train, on a sidewalk, or on a mural, it depicts not only our outcries, but it depicts our self-determination. It depicts on where we're going. Don't get me started, because Daddy man,
people need this, man.
We have to lay it down, and that's why that movie Belly is a hip hop classic, because people still remember the words that we exchanged between DMX and myself about what was really happening from one generation to another generation.
Yeah, amen.
And Daddy-O, again, Dr. Chavis mentions DMX, and you talked about losing folks. When you see this happening, people like DMX. It goes all the way back, right? Tupac, Biggie. You losing people. Tell us about that.
But we pick up that mic. Sometimes we drop the mic as a way of saying that I'm going to give you this, and then I'm going to drop that mic. But I like what Daddy just said. There comes a time when you have to pick the mic back up. And that's what time we're in now. We got to pick the mic back up. In fact, we ought to have a tour, Daddy-O, with the black press called Pick Up the Mic Tour.
Hey, Dr. Ben, you ain't got to tell me twice. You ain't never had to tell me nothing twice. I think it's tough, Stacey. Losing people is tough. So like Marky D hit me hard because Mark lived around the corner from me. The Fat Boys was right around the corner from me on Skank. I was on Hendrix. They was on Skank. So that was tough. And then the Biz Markie thing really just kind of rocked all our world. And I mean, you know, it's been going back, like you said, there's some violent elements there, there's some drug elements there, but it does go back to the concept of community. What I have learned about a lot of these people, even on the health set, if there's nobody to deal with you based on accountability of your health, nobody there to say, hey man, I know you want to take that cake, but don't take that cake. Just leave that cake. Let's, you know what? I'm gonna take you over to so and so, and he does a little thing with blueberries, and trust me, just trust me, it's gonna be okay. I think that we have to, we gotta close ranks, so to speak. I know it's Almighty God that destroyed that you know is responsible for life and death. So I can't say when somebody's gonna live or die, but I will say that I think that we all have been given a certain amount of responsibility, right? So I just because you know I use Dr. Ben as an example, you know, he's gonna take it among himself. He's gonna take the responsibility himself and say, hey, you know, let me help out this paper. Let me make sure that these people are saying the right thing. Let me make sure that that voice is known, right? That's a community responsibility. So I feel like it's the same way for us because yeah, we come together and do big funerals for DMX and do big funerals for Biz, but then probably 90, and I mean, again, this is I'm gonna go hard in the paint like I do. Probably 90% of people at that funeral had not seen DMX or have not talked to, Biz in years.
That's right. That's
You know what I mean? And that's a tough situation. We really gotta close ranks. I understand part of it. I'm not giving us an excuse, but I do understand part of it. People move. So Kane's no longer in New York. Neither is Chuck D. Neither is Daddy-O. Neither is Jalil from Houdini. I mean, I could keep going on. So cats have moved out of New York. There was a time that we were all together. So it was almost impossible to not run into one of us. But it's understandable. You know, you want to move out. You want to get a better situation for your family. You want more bang for your buck because, you know, New York is hella pricey. But it doesn't mean that we still can't maintain some unity. I mean,
that's right.
Look at the internet. You know what I'm saying? So all these things we have to take to our advantage. And that's what I think. I think a lot of us, and I'm just talking about old school rappers right now. I think a lot of us just got lazy in the paint and a little spoiled for what was used to happen back in the day. And I think we got to put on a different hat. You know, we have to put on. And then the other thing is what I'm doing right now with you guys. Like, this was normal to talk to Dr. Ben every 2-3 months. That was normal. I'm going to see him. I'm going to see him. Something going to happen. Somebody going to be throwing a function. We're going to be doing a fundraiser. We might have to be out there on the street because somebody got killed. That's true. You know what I mean? But I'm going to see him. And that concept of not having that constant connection with me being the rapper and him being the OG to tell me, look, I've been in the space. I know what it is. I know what I'm fighting. Yo, you know, it might be one little thing that Dr. Ben say that turned into, like I said, like Sonny saying 2 words to me. Well, really 3. Freedom or death, and me just going in and making a song. Like, that's the kind of thing that we're missing. We're missing that kind of connection.
Yeah. That's right. So when Diddy said vote or death, it resonated with what you were saying with Sonny Carson back in the early 1980s, freedom or death, you know, and because we have to choose freedom over death. We have to choose voting over death. We have to choose life or over death. And most brothers and sisters have to be reminded, Brother Daddy-O, that we do have a choice. We make the decision what we choose in life and how, you know. So look, man, I'm ready to pick up the mic.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. But I like that idea for the tour though, bro. That's dope because we could do, you know, nowadays you could do so many things. So you could do some interactive things where we talk to people. We could bring in organizations that help folks. You know, everything ain't gotta, hey, here's another Daddy-O go hard in the paint thing. Everything ain't gotta be some community center with a bunch of vendors and candles.
Right.
You know, everything ain't gotta be that. You got we have black intellectuals like Dr. Ben. We try. Why do we forget we got black intellectuals?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like other cultures, especially some of the other cultures that haven't even been in this country too long, always want to present their intellectuals. You know, I don't have nothing against Deepak, but I was on the phone with a friend of mine and she said, yeah, well, you know, I'm in school. I'm doing this Deepak Chakra class. And I'm not really against it, but I'm like, you could go sit up in the old Ebenezer, right? Where they do the guests and just listen to them Dr. King's sermons and get more than you could get from Deepak.
Mm.
You know what I mean? If we have black intellectuals, the minister's still out there. We have Dr. Ben is still here. We have black intellectuals. We have them. And I think there's a little shadowing going on, you know, for that. I'm going hard in the paint. This ain't on y'all. Disclaimer. For that Don Lemon type. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, I much rather speak to an elder about anything because they know and they taught me how to walk this walk. That's why I'm my age and still around. Because the guys like Dr. Ben teaching me how to walk this walk and wear the duck. You know, don't go around that corner, daddy, or they're going to shoot at you. You know what I'm saying? But that's the issue. Like, I really think the issue is that. But I love and I welcome the idea of what Dr. Ben was talking about because so many things we could do in that. You know what I mean? We could have the black intellectual conversation. We could have the panel stuff. We could still have the musical performances. You know, like I said, everything ain't got to be about merchandise and tables.
Yeah, we again a few moments left with Daddy O from Stetsasonic, the legendary Daddy O from the legendary Stetsasonic. It's such a privilege to talk to this guy, man. And listen, y'all gotta share this because he is, as Dr. Chavez loves to say, he's spitting the truth here. Dr. Chavez, I'm gonna throw it at you to close out with Daddy O.
Well, again, we salute Daddy O and we salute all of Stetsasonic. These brothers paved the way for millions of brothers and sisters, not only in America, in the Caribbean, in Brazil, in Africa, throughout the world. Hip hop now, we grew out of the streets of New York, is a global cultural phenomenon where actually millions of people embrace. And, you know, we thank God for the journey. We thank God that Daddy O is still making music, still making wisdom, and still dropping science and spitting truth to power. And we're looking forward on the Black Press, anything that we can do to help promote what you're doing, Daddy O. Please let us know. We'll be there.
Absolutely.
To back you 100%. God bless.
Absolutely. God bless you too, man. I love it. And Stacy, man, we gotta meet in person, man, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a privilege hearing you speak. And it's so refreshing because as you well know, you spoke about it, we get so many who hold back. And as you say, you go hard in the paint, and that's what we embrace right here.
Look at my teacher. Look at my teacher. Look at my teacher. You know my teacher, you know him. He ain't gonna not go hard in the paint. If I don't go hard in the paint, then I get around him. Look, it could be 4 years, right? I do something real corny, right? It could be 4 years that I see Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben be like, yo, Daddy, you know what you did was mad corny, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm talking about, that accountability. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what these brothers have always represented to us. They never looked at us like we was fools. They understood what we was doing. It was rapping, but they understood what we was doing, and they gave us lanes that we would not have normally had because everything else was music, right? So everything else was, oh, can we get on the radio? Can we? This is another lane to go speak to an audience that's actually there to see Dr. Ben, and we get to perform. That's powerful.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to seeing Daddy O and Stetsasonic perform and doing a whole lot more.
Pick up the mic again. We're gonna work on that. Pick up the mic again too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Pick up the mic again tour. brought to you by Dr. Ben Chavis and Daddy-O. There you go. How about that? Everybody, thanks for joining us. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Get yourself vaccinated if possible. We will see you on the next edition of the Black Press of America's Fire broadcast. And of course, every weekday morning, Dr. Chavis and I, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, let it be known. We'll see you then.
God bless.
God bless.